Cool. All right. There we go. And we're live.
Hello,
Just for
Facebook
you.
Live. Welcome to another behind-the-scenes recording of our show today. Wait a minute.
They can hear you.
Oh, they can hear me?
They were able to hear you a little bit, yeah.
All right. So today is
Yes, there you
the 11th of
Mhm.
December. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. I'm here with Zambo, the engineer from GHR.
Hello, hello.
So this is how things work when people are late.
Yes.
So I am getting everything
It's all right.
pulling up right now.
I'm literally working on getting our the electronic part of the segment done, so we should be ready to go very soon.
So we actually have a guest that's going to be calling in. If he's watching, yo, Steve, what's going on? He'll be calling in at
Cool.
2:35,
All right, so I have that on.
and I have to.
I'm just going to adjust the the live stream camera so that people see you a little clearer.
I have to. What I'm doing right now is I am taking the news that I emailed to myself and putting it on my little notepad here so I can actually read it.
Heck yeah.
So
You got this.
yay!
All right. Woohoo. All right, so that's good. That's going.
All right. So while we're
Right.
getting ourselves all set up.
Yes, go right ahead. Do what you got to do.
Let's see, we're going to do the house cleaning. So today, we're going to have our 27th live show at the Samanya Mall, which is a Source Mall in Long Island. It's right next to the Fortune Off and the P.F. Chang's. You make sure you go through the rear parking garage and enter through the second floor, and there'll be this little sign there, so that way you'll know where to go. We're going to have Eddie Avila, who is a writer and artist. He's going to be our guest from Day One Comic. He's going to be giving away a metal Spawn print. So it's a print, but it's actually metal print instead of just paper. It looks really nice. It's really shiny. And we're also going to give away 2 tickets to the Big Apple Con, which is this weekend, the 14th of December. Headliners will be Sam J. Jones. And, yeah, come on in.
Oh, okay.
Go quick. Go quick. That's Meredith. Say hi, Meredith. She's a
Damn it. door's closed
marketing
for a reason.
guru. Marketing guru.
Guru.
Right there. This is why it's called behind the scenes.
Yes.
Um,
Didn't start yet.
So we have that, and let's see what else did I want to mention.
Okay.
I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, the contest winner. We have the contest winner
Yay.
for the tickets from the 11:20 show that Mike Carbonell was able to be so nice to give away. It is Nathan Boo, B-U. He has 1 ticket, so he will get 2 free tickets to the Big Apple Con this weekend. I'll send him all the information. His name will be on the list, and he'll be good to go. So if you want tickets and you didn't win, come down to the live show today, and you can also win another pair. But other than that, I believe we are ready to go.
All right. I got everything all set up, so when you are, we are good.
All right, here we go.
The following is brought to you in part by MFC Studios. The views of the show's host and guests do not necessarily reflect those of the management, owners, or staff of this radio station. And now, it came from the radio.
There we go.
Yapatoy, and welcome once again to A Came From Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres, speaking. With me in the GHR studio, I have our very own Zambo, the engineer, who isn't our very own. He's
Hello.
GHR's very own.
Yes,
Zambo, the
GHR's very
engineer.
own engineer.
Dominic Sperano and senior correspondent Charlie Saladino are on assignment, so it's just going to be me and he. On this week's show, we're going to have a writer calling in from California, I believe. And it is Steve Peros. He is the author of the comic book Stoker and Wells,
Nice.
Order of the Golden Dawn. He'll be calling in just a little bit. But before we do that, and also, since I'm here myself, I have, want to mention the, oh crap, I hit the wrong button.
Just gonna mark that right there. All right.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about the GCCCE. That is the Grasshopper Comics children's charity event, which happened this past weekend. So I'm going to talk about that also.
Awesome.
And yeah, so let's take it away with the news.
All right, let's go for it.
That's not it.
Nope.
That's
Try
not
it
it.
again.
It's not working.
Oh no. Yeah.
It's not.
Try again.
I gotta wait till the lights I know.
Go for it.
Is it this one?
Yeah. Every now and again, it does that little hiccup.
The news is brought to you in part by Defiance, host of the Big Apple Con, of which we are the official radio show of, celebrating over 23, probably 24 years by now, pop culture stuff and comic book news. For more information, go to www.bigapplecc.com. Their next convention, because this is going to be airing way later than today's actual date, it'll be in April 4th and 5th of 2020, and they're going to have none other than the original Green Ranger, Jason David Frank, as the headliner. And also, we don't do the shout-outs for our Patreons, of which there are Danny Grillo, award-winning director Jared Burrell, Two Sentence Horror, Kyle Horn, Millie Portes, Newsday famous Dresden Media, Unji-kun, and Shadow Rabbit Art. You guys want a shout-out? Go to www.patreon.com.
Sorry. I was hitting
and look us up on the search bar, and for just $1 a month, you can get your own little shout-out on our show. So you get a shout-out, help us out, and it would be greatly appreciated.
And don't forget, for the measly $10,000, you get a night out with Dominic.
For $10,000.
That's right.
We have different levels. So for the $10,000 one, you get to have an evening with our very own Pronto Comics, Dominic Definition Mascherano. If you're 21 and over, he'll take you to all the best bars in the city and all the best comic books stores in the city, and as many Pronto comics that you can carry.
Woo!
So let's start off with the sad news. All right, so that's a lot of sad news for today, which is weird because, well, actually, I would say it's weird because it's a good thing, because we have twice as much news, because we also have another show later on today, a live show, which already happened if you're listening to us on the air. But if you're on Facebook Live, which is happening right now, it's going to be later today. So let's start off with Renee. Oh boy, I can never pronounce his name correctly, so I'm just gonna say Auberjonois. Auberjonois.
R-E-N-E, right? Is that how you spell his name?
Yes.
All right.
R-E-N-E-A-U-B-E-R.
Yeah, Auberjonois, I would say.
That's
that's how I would say it.
Auberjonois.
Yeah, he's French.
He died recently from lung cancer. Renee appeared in such films as the original MASH, Hindenburg, King Kong for 1976, The Eyes of Laura Mars, Police Academy Part 5, Miami Beach, he was the bad guy, Batman Forever, Inspector Gadget, the film, and Windows of the World, just to name a few. On the small screen, Renee appeared in such shows as, here we go, The Mod Squad, McMillian and Wife, Love, American Style, The Jeffersons, Bob Newhart Show, Baa Baa Black Sheep, Wonder Woman, Charlie's Angels, the original one, Mrs. Columbo, Murder, She Wrote, L.A. Law, The Outer Limits, Chicago Hope, The Practice, Nash Bridges, Star Trek Enterprise, Boston Legal, Warehouse 13, Grey's Anatomy, Good Wife, and of course his two most famous roles as Clayton Endicott III in the series Benson, appearing for 135 episodes of the 1979 to 1985 series, and Odo in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, in 173 episodes out of the 176 episodes that aired between 1993 and 1999. On top of all that, Renee also had his hand in many animated roles, such as The Last Unicorn, The Little Mermaid and its sequel, Little Nemo, Adventures of Slumberland, Cats Don't Dance, American Tail, Treasure Manhattan Island, Geppetto's Secret, Chill Out, Scooby-Doo, Planes, Fire and Rescue, The Smurfs, Super Friends, Legendary Superpower Show, Challenge of the GoBots, The Superpowers Team, Galactic Guardians, The New Adventures of Johnny Quest, Snorks, Pound Puppies, the original one, DuckTales, the original one, Batman the Animated Series, Pirates of Dark Water, Aladdin, The Savage Dragon, Captain Simeon and the Space Monkey, I love that show, Jumanji, Extreme Ghostbusters, Men in Black the series, Wild Thornberrys, The Legend of Tarzan, Justice League, The Mummy, Shaolin Showdown, Avatar The Last Airbender, Young Justice, The Looney Tunes Show, Ben 10 Omniverse, Pound Puppies, a new one, and Avengers Assemble, just to name a few. He did a lot of work.
Yeah, no, he did. He did a lot. A lot of good stuff.
Sadly, I have to say, usually I try to, at the time back then, I used to try to see all the Star Trek guys. I actually have seen just about every Star Trek cast member of the original series, Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine. But I was a kid when he was at a convention, and I was scared to talk to him. And I remember he was just sitting there. But we had just started the show, so this is probably like 2003, 2004.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of my co-hosts, which was Todd Wright, shout out to Todd if you're listening, he went up to him, he talked to him, and he brought his daughter to the convention. And he told me that he was the nicest man. He sang songs with his daughter, and he was just talking about the art and craft. So this is way back when he was at the top of his game, back in the 2000s. The show had just finished. He's up there, but he's a very nice man, and I'm sorry I didn't go over there and talk to him.
That's okay.
He was 79.
Yeah. That was
A young 79.
a young 79, a young and spry 79.
Yeah.
Dang. Lung cancer though. That's a tough one to hit, definitely.
Moving along for more sad news. All right, famed Taiwanese comic book artist Su Mao Sung also died recently of a heart failure. Whose work? I didn't know if I didn't read it until I saw it, but now I said it, and now it's sad. I feel bad that I said it.
Woof.
Whose work stretched over 60 years, leading up to his final work, which was a 760-page hand-drawn comic about the life of Buddha, which took 10 years to complete. Culture Minister of Taipei officially mourned his death, saying Su created throughout his life and was an inspiration to younger generations. Of note, in 2017, Su was honored with a special contribution award at the Golden Comic Awards for his contribution to Taiwanese comics industry. So basically, he was like the Stan Lee of Taiwan, making all these comics. He was a young 82.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense then. My goodness.
So moving on, for even more sad news, actor Ron Liebman also died recently following complications from pneumonia. Ronald appeared in such films as Where's Papa, Slaughterhouse-5, Wonton Ton, The Dog Who Saved Hollywood, I remember that movie, Norma Ray, Up the Academy, I remember that movie, Zora the Gay Blade, I love that movie, Door to Door, Rhinestone, never saw it, that's the Dolly Parton, Sylvester Stallone movie, 7 Hours to Judgment, Personal Velocity, Garden State, and A Little Help, just to name a few. On the small screen, Ronald appeared in such shows as Edge of Night, Hawk, Police Story, A Question of Guilt, Kaz Rifkin, Bounty Hunter, Many Happy Returns, Christmas Eve, Terrorists on Trial, The United States versus Sam Ajami, Aaron's Way, Murder, She Wrote, Pacific Station, Fish Police, Duckman, Private Dick Family Man, Central Park West, Law and Order, Friends, Rugrats, Don King, Only in America, and Holy the Baby, just to name a few. He was also 82. Most people, I guess, remember him as Rachel's father on Friends. That's who he is.
That's where he came from. Yeah. No, okay. Now I see where he.
Just a couple episodes, but that's what most people do. I've never saw. I've only seen 2 episodes of Friends. So.
He's also was on a couple episodes of Archer. He did a character.
Yeah.
For 9 episodes.
Tons.
A few others. Yeah.
Tons
He's
of stuff,
done a lot. My goodness.
And he was also 82.
Yeah.
So and there's more deaths to come. So woohoo! But that's going to be safe for another show.
Woohoo, boo-hoo.
Moving on to a little happier, better news. From the If It Bleeds, You Can Kill It department. You gotta make sure you have the number up, right?
Oh yeah. The number for
Yeah, just in case. All right, good. From the If It Bleeds, You Can Kill It department, Bill Nye the Science Guy has filed suit against the evil corporation known as Disney, with claims that the company shorted him on profits from his series back in the 90s. In the complaint, Bill estimates $28 million in damages and is also seeking punitive damages stemming from Disney's long and consistent pattern of underreporting revenue and improperly applying deductions. Of course, Disney isn't taking this lying down, but the judge has ruled against them, allowing Bill's case to make it to actual trial. For those of you not paying attention, Bill Nye the Science Guy was a syndicated show by Walt Disney Television, originally airing on local TV stations from 1993 to 1999. The show also ran from PBS in 1994 to 1998. A total of 100 episodes were released across 5 seasons, and Bill Nye's other science-based programs include 2005, The Eye of Nye, and 2017's Bill Nye Saves the World. Whew. All right, so moving along. Oh, I messed that up. All right. No, we needed to play a video for one of the news items, but I guess we'll work it out.
All right.
From the To Boldly Go Where Many Men Have Gone Before department, none other than William Shatner has filed for divorce from his 4th wife of 18 years. This is his 3rd divorce, as he was first married to Gloria Rand in 1956, divorced in 1969, then married actress Marcy Lafferty, Lafferty.
Yeah, Lafferty.
From 1973 to 1994, and then Noreen Kidd in 1997, who died in 1999. Shatner and Martin signed a prenuptial agreement when they married in 2001, and while they're still negotiating the details of the final settlement, the terms of their agreement stipulate that neither will be responsible for paying spousal support after the divorce is finalized. So there you go. How about that?
Yikes.
Um,
Did you hear that, ladies? He's back on the market.
He's I think like 88.
He's about 88. He does not look 88, but he is 88.
That is true. He's doing quite well.
Yeah, yeah.
So the young ladies can get themselves a little bit of Shatner.
Oh, yes.
Moving on. All right, so let's see. So while so on the YouTube, actually let me see. All right, type this in.
Sure.
YouTube.com/blah blah blah, right? /watch V equals 9YLPH11JD5U. See if that worked.
5U. Okay. I have it right here, so let me just go with that. This one? That's not how any of this works?
Yes, that's the one. All right, so we'll play that in a minute.
All right, you got it.
From the gaming desk, Redbox has put the final nail. Oh, no, let me try it again. Redbox, the final nail in the Blockbuster video coffin, has decided to stop renting video games. For those of you who don't know, Redbox is a self-standing kiosk that you can rent movies and games for a limited time, much like Blockbuster did. And actually, they started to take over when Blockbuster was on its way down. These kiosks started popping up, and you can rent movies for less. It was for $1, but now I think it's up to $1.50.
Yeah.
Then you could rent it at Blockbuster, have it for 1 day.
Yeah, like
and bring it
1 or
back,
2 days.
and you can bring it back to any Redbox kiosk. It was very good, very nice service that they're doing. They decided to expand to games because the gaming rental industry has always been the corner market of Blockbuster Video, and the arch enemy what would be the word for people getting upset?
People getting upset. The thorn in the side. The
visceral?
Visceral. Yeah.
To the
Visceral competitor.
to Blockbuster Video. To the gaming industry, because if you make a game, you want people to buy it. And as games have gone up in price, they started around like 20, then they went up to 30, then 40, and 50, and 60,
and 60
and 70,
plus
whatever.
now. Yeah, now it's 60 plus.
So they want that money, but instead they sell it to the rental places for cheaper.
Yep.
And then they rent it out, but they don't get any of that money, from what I understand, if I'm not mistaken. It's all revenue for
the company
the company that rents it, Redbox. So the game, for the game people, it's great because you can try the game, as they say, try before you buy. And you can see if you like or do not like this game, as opposed to throwing down 60, 70, or whatever
Plus.
dollars,
Yeah.
playing a game for 5 minutes and not liking it. And then if you want to return it, you lose like more than half of its value instantly.
Yep.
So Redbox was holding off renting the games out, and then all of a sudden they decided to stop it because I guess it was not profitable or whatever reason. They have
Pressure
not said
from
why.
the industry. Who knows?
But it reminds me of when we were renting when we first started renting video games at Blockbuster. I was there, and it was easier when they were renting out hard cartridges. Cartridges were things that they used to put into Nintendo Entertainment Systems and Genesis.
For you who do not know.
But then they started moving over to CDs.
Yes.
Now the thing is, when you rented from Blockbuster, they did not take care of those CDs at all.
They definitely
get
didn't.
scratched and whatever because they don't care. It's rental.
Yeah.
So it's not the same when it's like a hard physical thing. It's a delicate item. So we used to get people renting it for the first time, coming back all scratched up. We didn't do
We'd
that.
be like, we
you were
didn't do
the
that at
only
all.
person that rented this.
We literally got this in the morning you rented it.
So maybe
what did you do?
That's why they decided.
Could be that. It could also be theft and everything like that, because people were able to basically photocopy the front of the CD that had the little barcode that Redbox uses.
Yeah, and
then
then
just put it
slap
back in the
on.
box and then just slap it in there and leave. So that
Maybe
would
that's
save them.
another reason. But
Yeah.
as of right now, the only thing I think they have left is I think there's one other game. GameFly might be the last
GameFly is
of
that
the
still
rental
around?
game rental things.
Oh my God, is GameFly
But I
still
don't even
around?
think nobody really talks about it, so it's probably there, but
It's still around.
not for much longer.
Oh my God.
But yeah. So how much are they charging for that? What does
Let's
it say
see.
on
There's a free trial you can
there? Free
do.
trial.
Woohoo.
What is it?
Let's see.
The
GameFly.
prices.
Yeah, let me do this.
It should be on there somewhere.
Yeah. GameFly
So that's still, you have to pay a monthly fee.
One disc is $10 a month for 3 months and $15.95 a month afterwards.
Okay.
That's if you wanted to do the one. Then there's 2 discs out at a time for $13.50 a month for 3 months, or $22.95 afterwards.
All right, so it's a monthly rental service. So that's a little different. That's like the Netflix of gaming.
Back when Netflix did digital discs, yeah.
They still do.
They still do.
You can still
I thought
get.
they finally scrapped it.
You can still get the disc,
my God.
which they apparently have a larger library on disc as they do in the
I've heard that.
streaming. But yeah, so that's all that's left for you gamers out there. So, or unless you can try it out for Steam, I believe it's called. But even some of those, they let you try a demo, and then you can't save all the stuff you did on the demo when you get the real game. So it's pain in the butt.
Yeah, it doesn't transfer over all the way and stuff like that.
So yeah, so that's that.
Oh,
and
DVD.com.
yeah.
Okay, so that's the company that they have now.
And moving on.
Cool.
All right, so we're gonna hit the video
All right.
from the.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Department. All right, so he's gonna call in 4 minutes. So I want to see if we can get this all in within that time.
Ooh, go.
Actor Billy D. Williams was shocked and stunned to find out that after a recent interview with Esquire magazine, the internet went crazy that the 82-year-old actor came out, air quotes, as gender neutral. Originally, Billy was quoted as saying, "I never tried to be anything but myself. I tried to think of myself as a relatively colorful character who doesn't take himself or herself too seriously. I say himself or herself because I also see myself as feminine as well as masculine. I'm a very soft person. I'm not afraid to show that side of myself." As previously mentioned, the internet, as it tends to do, went crazy with reports and even praise from the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Upon hearing this, Billy was quoted as saying, "Well, first of all, I asked last night, I said, what the hell is gender fluid? That's a whole new term." But what I was talking about was men getting in touch with their softer side of themselves. There's a phrase that was coined by Carl G. Jung, who was a psychiatrist, who was a contemporary of Sigmund Freud, and he had a splitting of the ways because they had different ideas about the, what do you call it, consciousness, unconscious. This is his quote. It's collectively unconscious. But he coined a phrase that's anima animus. Anima animus.
Anima
The
animus.
anima means is the female counterpart of the male self, and the animus is the male counterpart of the female. So that's what I was referring to. I was talking about men getting in touch with the female side of themselves. I wasn't talking about sex. I wasn't talking about being gay or straight. People should read Jung. And I mean, it would be interesting education for a lot of people. And then he goes on to say, no, no, no. I am not gay by any stretch of the imagination, nor have I have anything against gay people, but personally not gay. Of course, being gender fluid is defined as a person who fluctuates between more than one gender or between having a gender and not having one. They do not stick to one gender or lack thereof for their entire life. It is not related to a person's genitalia or their sexual orientation. So the fact that Billy D. Williams thinks it's about being gay or not gay, and he has no idea what gender fluid is, definitely says he's not a gender fluid person.
Yeah, probably.
He's just some guy who's Mr. Suave, said what he has to say, and it was misinterpreted as it is done in the internet. So, yeah, that happened.
Yeah.
Which I find to be kind of interesting because, you think he probably doesn't even know what internet is, but all of a sudden...
What the hell's an internet?
he's trending
Yeah.
as, oh my God, he is gender fluid. Hooray for gender fluidity.
Yay.
And
But also, what the hell is gender fluid? That's basically how he is.
So yeah. So that's how that goes.
Ah.
So in theory, our guest should be calling in a minute. So let's take the break. So we're gonna take a break.
All right.
Hopefully he'll call during the break, and we'll be right back in from radio.
This is the Amazing Kreskin, and you're listening to...
So with this, I didn't remove Not From This Earth,
Hi,
but I'll
you've
do
heard
that.
my voice
Right.
open and
Post
close
this.
the show. Now
But I got rid of the
we wanna
envoy
hear
one, so
your
it's
voice.
Oh, hey.
If you have a
Look at that.
business or product,
Look at
you
that.
can record a commercial here.
Hey, Steve, hang on
We
one
offer
sec.
30 and 60-second spots.
Sure thing.
For more information, contact Mark at mfc_studios@hotmail.com.
Hey everybody, this is Todd McFarlane of the record-setting Spawn comic series,
And if you're looking for any kind of cool conversation about creators, about entertainment, about all that good stuff, you go to It Came From the Radio. You're listening to the right spot.
Whether you're looking for pre-code horror, good girl art, or superhero comic books, check out NotFromThisEarth.com. They specialize in rare comic books, but they also have an extensive stock of popular comics to help you fill in the holes in your collection. That's NotFromThisEarth.com. Use code WARY to receive a 10% discount on your entire order. Also, stop by our pop-up store at 31 Grand Street in the Williamsburg section of Brooklyn.
This is Gray Griffin, and you're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Hey guys, I'm Christy, and I'm here to make the coolest custom cake for your next event. I also do cake pops, cupcakes, cookies, you name it. So if you're searching for the perfect birthday gift, preparing for your big day, or maybe there's nothing coming up, but your sweet tooth may have just given your brain a swift kick because of me, give me a call at 631-606-8166 or follow me at Custom Cakes by Christy, INC. That's KRISTY. Thanks.
Sword of Omens, come to my hand. I, Lion-O, command it. Hi, everybody. This is Larry Kenny, the voice of Lion-O on Thundercats. And you're listening to It Came From the Radio.
Now, back to our show.
And welcome back to It Came From the Radio, the official of the Big Apple Con. This is your host, Mark Torres speaking. And we should have on the phone none other than Stephen Peros. Hey, Steve, say hi.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Oh, there we go. All right.
Hello.
How do? So we're going to be talking to with and about you in just a second. But I want to mention that you are the writer of the comic Stoker and Wells of the Order of the Golden Dawn, correct?
That is correct, sir, yes. And I'm just now, my head is reeling over William Shatner's divorce and that Billy D. Williams is not gay. Wow. Oh, morning.
See, so if Billy D. Williams was gay, he could hook up with William Shatner.
And then they would have had fun.
Wait a minute, what are you saying about William Shatner now? Hold on.
That's yeah.
Are you outing William Shatner right here on It Came From the Radio?
That was
That's
if
another
only.
discussion entirely.
You know, he's been a guest on the show twice actually, and he's a
wow.
Yeah, it was really a nice person to interview. It was really a great experience. Cool. But we're here to talk about you. So tell us a little bit about how you got into the business, and we'll talk about your book, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, well, I am from New York. I grew up not far from where you guys broadcast there, North Babylon on Long Island. I was born in Brooklyn.
Oh, wow.
Not too far.
Then we were two, moved out to suburbia, but I'm calling you guys from Hollywood, California right now. Went to NYU, film major, always writing scripts. Finally got some action on one after I graduated, which brought me out here. Not an unfamiliar story. You come out for a 10-day look around, turns into 10 weeks, turns into your living here. I don't have to wear winter coats or shovel snow, so it became very attractive. And so a script of mine sold. First major thing I had produced was a film called The Cat's Meow that Lionsgate made, starring Kirsten Dunst. Peter Bogdanovich directed it. It was about a murder on William Randolph Hearst's yacht. Did stuff for TV, directed a couple of independent films, sold pilots to NBC and MTV and one-hour dramas mostly, although I've been out pitching comedies as well. First show I ever worked on was a show AMC did called The Lot, which was a half-hour comedy about life on a fictitious movie studio lot in 1939. Won an Emmy for not writing, sadly, but it did win an Emmy. But then I have a couple of plays published by Samuel French, and then I wrote this screenplay called Stoker and Wells' Order of the Golden Dawn, and it did well for me. It was I thought, well, I want to do a big film, the kind of films I haven't written, because I've written all sorts of genres, but never really something, although I was one of the writers uncredited on Disney's Around the World in 80 Days with Steve Coogan and Jackie Chan. That was really something I originated. So I just had this idea. I said, I want to do something in the wheelhouse of like the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes or Pirates of the Caribbean, kind of what the industry calls a 4-quadrant movie, a movie that kids will like, teenagers will like, their parents will like, and and the grandparents alike. That has a little something for everybody, and to justify the huge budget. So I started thinking about, free IP, free intellectual property, and I started thinking about sort of a buddy film of sort of famous authors who lived around the same time. So I started doing some research, but different authors from the Victorian era or from 1800s, and who lived around the same time. And when I came to Bram Stoker, who was in his late 40s, and H.G. Wells in his late 20s, I thought I really hit on the perfect pair because they were different generations, very different personality types, and there's no real record of, even though the men coexisted in London at the same time, no real record of a friendship between the two men, which makes sense because, where their life paths were. So I just conceived this story of a 20-something screw-up, divorcee, directionless ladies' man named H.G. Wells who meets a longtime 15-year theater manager of the Lyceum Theater named Bram Stoker, which is who those gentlemen were in 1894, and that they go on a singular adventure that winds up being the inspiration for both men's first great work, or first significant work, which is The Time Machine for Wells and Dracula for Bram Stoker. I like to call it the absolutely true story of Bram Stoker and H.G. Wells, give or take 48 hours. So I turned it into a screen. It was a screenplay, like I said, almost got made, and then but didn't. And I wanted to get it told. I mean, I got a job off of it. But I wanted that story to be told. People said, why don't you turn it into some other form of IP? And that's when I thought, well, I'll turn it into a graphic novel, because I'd done this path and it worked before. The Cat's Meow, which I'd mentioned about a murder on William Randolph Hearst's yacht, was a screenplay that almost got made for about 7 years and didn't. 3 different sets of producers. So I turned it into a stage play, hoping that would reinvigorate interest in the screenplay. It did, and that led to Lionsgate making the movie. So I said, okay, well, I know a lot of people in the comic book world. Since junior high school, I've been close friends with Billy Tucci, who created She, and just had an incredibly successful Kickstarter Indiegogo for the return of She, Return of the Warrior, his first book with her in 15 years. I'm co-writing it with Billy. Just cleared $130,000 on his 3-week crowdfunding.
Cool.
Yeah, so I talked to Billy, J.C. Vaughn, who is VP of publishing at Gemstone, and does the Overstreet Comic Book Guide. He's my editor. Barry Orkin, wonderful illustrator, who I've also known since 7th grade. At Billy and I went to school on Long Island, Peter J. Brennan Junior High School, no longer there, and in North Babylon. Barry, we've all kind of watched each other come up, been each other's fans and cheerleaders, and finally all got to work together. Barry did the art, and Billy did a variant cover that we had for as a Kickstarter reward level. Because the book itself wound up being funded through 2 different Kickstarter campaigns. I think I glanced on the muted video that you were looking at one of them. That was the older one. I think that was the one from 2017 that had some old art and old stuff that wasn't actually used. So then we did a later one in 2000, last fall, because the book, originally meaning to be a 57-page book, turned into a 94-page book, which meant we needed to raise a little bit more money, and we did. So they were both successful crowdfunding, and now the book is out, and we've gotten tremendously strong reviews across the line. Not only big publications like LA Weekly out here, but First Comics Daily, Dark Media Online, Comics Beat gave us a wonderful review. So we've gotten really, I'm thrilled at how much we've been embraced, especially because I'm a first timer. Yeah. So and that's it. I'm happy to be on the show with you guys. Still reeling over the shock of Shatner and Billy D.
Well, you say you're a first timer, but apparently you've done everything. Like, you've done play, you've done TV, you've done movie, like you've done everything. Now you're making a comic. So as a writer, do you tackle each version, each medium differently, or is it just one and you just slightly adjust it for whatever you're planning to make it out for?
Well, it's more than it's the same story, and I did start. The basis was the screenplay, and I would use the screenplay, but it had to be pared down significantly to land. I thought I was paring it down because it hadn't been adapted when we launched the first Kickstarter. And in the adapting, I was learning, and J.C. Vaughn, my editor, was very helpful. I was cramming too much on a page. First of all, I learned that, writing a graphic novel, it's not like handing a screenplay to somebody. You actually have to, you become basically a writer-director, and which I learned. And so you not only are giving the information, but the panel information, how what a page, the layout of a given page, what information is going to happen on a given page, and I was cramming too much on a page if I was even with cutting, and I'm a pretty good editor. I'm understanding the difference in the medium and what registers on a comic book page versus what would register on film. I had a similar journey when I went from a screenplay to a stage play. You don't have close-ups, so when you're sitting in a theater audience, so I learned that different language. But here, I kept getting shorter. I realized, what's necessary in order to tell this story? We really didn't want to go beyond 90 odd pages or so, and so we went to 94. So had to make a big choices of things to leave out. But it is still essentially the journey that happens in the screenplay. But you start to learn about, just like in film, you're all about, I want one scene to always lead into the next. It's always got to be a timeline with forward momentum. Even if you're making the subtlest, gentlest, family drama, it's still always got to be moving forward. One scene moves to the next. And you have this beautiful format for graphic novels and comics, which is you turn a page and, and you want, on the at the bottom right of every odd page, something that makes you turn it to the next. So it's always about what are you ending? How are you getting someone to flip that page? Always want to be moving forward on the story. So that was fun, trying to figure out where are my breaks for each page, and how can it contribute to the story moving forward. And so I'm happy that the feedback has been very positive. And Barry, it was great. Just like in film, when you're directing a film, you don't hire talented people and then just dictate to them. You want to tell them what your plan is, but give them the room for their creativity. So with Barry, I would always let him know, look, this is my plan for the page and the panels. You have freedom to come back at me. If you say, okay, I get why Steve is doing it this way, I have a different idea that might help get it across even better, please, by all means, do it. But we can't turn every time I send you a page, that can't turn into two. And only in one case did he say, no, this thing that you said, this needs to be a full page, and he was absolutely right about something. And we wound up having a really good relationship, and I learned a lot from guys who, I was basically the dumbest guy in the room as far as graphic novels and comics, and that's a good position to be in. So, I'm learning from them, and it's been a terrific experience. Still is. I just did a book signing out here in LA at Golden Apple, which is the biggest place in Los Angeles. So that was a lot of fun. Met Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite stopped by, which was a lot of fun.
Did you vote for him? It was.
Yeah.
It took too much time.
Yeah, vote for Pedro. Right? Did I vote for who didn't vote for Pedro? For God's sake.
Exactly.
He's apparently a big comic book fan. Obviously, he's still there's still Napoleon Dynamite books, animation. He's always Pedro. There's no one else doing Pedro but Ephraim. So it's a lot of fun to chat with him.
So we actually had, this is an interesting point on something that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, about how the family of Bruce Lee, the daughter, in fact, is complaining about the portrayal of Bruce Lee in the film, was it the time in, Once Upon a Time in America, right?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes.
So when you're writing real people, do you think about that in the back of your head, that maybe there's going to be the family or the estate like, hey, that didn't really happen, hey, because it's a weird thing that's you're writing a story about someone who actually lived, but it's not a real story, but people may construe it as a real story. What is your position when your mindset when you're doing something like that?
Well, it's an excellent question because, I think, there are a lot of people who will do whatever they want, thinking, well, you know what, if someone wants to really know about someone, they should pick up a book or they should watch a documentary. This is a scripted format, and after all, Shakespeare took historical characters and did what he wanted with them, and I learned this when I started with The Cat's Meow, writing it right out of NYU. I did lots of research because I truly believed the fun and the challenge was, how can I look at all the factual stuff and construct my story, not just ignore facts or facts I like and use ones I don't, dismiss ones I don't. How can I do, really based on the research? But the fact is, with my earlier film, you can all the research you want about Charlie Chaplin and Marion Davies, but once you put them on a 220-foot yacht, and they go in a room and close the door, at that point you're a dramatist. There's no recording of their conversation. So you realize you are always engaging in fiction. That said, I do feel, and everyone writers may not all agree, that there's a certain certain moral responsibility, because there are some people who will learn everything they're ever going to know about H.G. Wells or Bram Stoker from reading this book. They're never going to pick up a biography of them. They may never Wikipedia them. They may read their books and so forth. Right. So I felt I really didn't want to just make them who I felt like I'd like them to be. So I really did do a lot of research on both men's characters, personality types, where they were in their life, because to me that's also the fun of it. I just as well as I think the quote unquote right thing to do. Again, other writers may not agree, and I mean, one of the things that really pisses me off is a movie like Cinderella Man, where they needed to really, based on a real-life boxer, and then they decided, well, this movie needs a villain. And so the boxer, Max Baer Sr., I think, who is the one who challenged Cinderella Man to come back in and fight, the true story was he actually had killed a man in the ring. And so in the movie they said, okay, well we'll have him saying things like to his kids, he tried, I killed a man, I'm going to kill your dad too. That's like he was happy about it, and that was like the threat and the villain. And the fact of the matter is, and that really upset the children, the surviving children of Max Baer, because as anybody who knows boxing will tell you, there are very, very few, if any, boxers who delight in having accidentally
murdered
killed a man
somebody
in the ring.
Right?
Yeah, and so it haunted him. To that, no one ever. I don't think there is a biography out on Max Baer Sr. That the only record in popular entertainment is this movie that portrays him as a monster. Sure, are you allowed to do that? Yes, because the law is that you can't libel the dead. So right now, if I wanted to do anything, if I wanted to do a movie about George Washington as a cross-dresser, I can. There's nothing stopping me, not any children, nothing. There's no law against it. So, for example, none of the two things I've done, the major things that I've done with historical figures, Stoker and Wells, nor The Cat's Meow, I have William Randolph Hearst, basically, pull a trigger and shoot somebody, which, but, people are like, oh, did you get sued by the Hearst people and the Hearst? No, never. Not when the play ran, not the movie, nothing, because there's no case, and they know it. Their lawyers know it. There's nothing you can do in telling a story about someone who is deceased, and particularly public figures. They have even less rights. You can't use them to advertise a product. That happened in the 70s when Apple, when they first launched, 70s or early 80s, when 70s, they launched the first computer, and they used Charlie Chaplin as a figure to show it, to advertise it, and the famous, then the Chaplin people, and I think who was it? It was Rod Serling's estate, John Wayne's estate. They got together a class, to change the law, which said that you can use, the deceased. You can use the deceased in without paying anybody rights in movies or theaters or books, but you cannot, and to advertise those movie theaters, works, but you cannot use them to endorse product without making deals with the estate, which was a good law to pass.
Wasn't there a commercial in the early 2000s with Audrey Hepburn, and they did like a cookie commercial or like a espresso commercial or something with her in a car?
I think they had to get permission for that first.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they did.
Yeah, I
all
remember
that stuff.
that.
They got
Yeah.
Yeah, they got. Now again, it has to do also where sometimes like, and then there are gray areas like Boris Karloff in the Frankenstein makeup. Is that Universal? Is that Karloff, or is it ultimately both? And I think they proved that it was both. For years, if you looked at all the Universal Studios monster licensing,
it's always him. Yeah,
their Dracula is very generic looking. It does not look like Lugosi.
Yeah.
It's just a man with a widow's peak and because they got, I think, the rights from the Karloff estate, and but they didn't. But the Lugosi estate, I think, they were having more difficult times. So for a year, they didn't want to give them the money that they were due. So now finally, I think they've made their peace with the Lugosi, Cheney, and Karloff estates, so that those creatures can actually look like the actors beneath.
Accurate representation.
Yes.
I know
sure.
you have a hard time to leave, so I want to make sure we get this in before you have to go. Where can people find the book? Website, social media stuff? Promote it now.
Sure. Well, I'm on. The book is on Facebook. I mean, not the book itself, but we have a page on Facebook, Stoker and Wells, Order of the Golden Dawn, with an ampersand, not the word and. And then it's on Amazon both as a hard copy, a paperback hard copy, 94 pages, or Kindle. So you can get both at Amazon. We're starting to get out into stores in LA and New York. We haven't actually made a distribution deal to get it out further through Diamond and so forth. We were sort of waiting to get what we just did get, which was the great press that we've gotten. So now we have tools to actually get buyers more interested in it. But the book's doing great on Amazon. I'm on Twitter at Stephen G. Peros, Stephen with a V, middle initial G, and Peros, P-E-R-O-S. And I'm also on Facebook. I'm only one of two Stephen Peroses. I am the one who is not a realtor. So please friend me.
If you don't want to get a house, don't call you.
Yeah. And so yes, please find the book. We're all really, really proud of it. It's a lot of fun, and people are digging it. So I hope your fans will and listeners will give it a chance.
So thank you very much for calling in. I did read it. I thought it was awesome. We are going to have a review of it in a future show. So when that comes up, you'll be able to hear what our bookworm Batson thought of it as well. Thank you so much for calling. I really appreciate it. And we will.
Thank you for having me.
And when you're back in New York, come down to the studio.
I will. Absolutely, I absolutely will. I look forward to it.
All right, it's a pleasure. Thanks for calling in.
Take
care,
gentlemen.
Steven. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Take care. All right.
So that was Steven. That was
Mr. Peros.
Like I said, I did read the book. I thought it was very interesting. I like the idea. Very nice.
I'm always a fan of that alternate timeline, like what-if moments type of storytelling. That's always fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I really do enjoy that.
And I look forward to having him in the studio because he can talk and he had a lot of great information. I only asked him like 3 questions, and he just went.
He rolled with it,
which is awesome.
Yeah.
So I look forward to talking to him more.
From a radio standpoint, that's great content.
Because he was a really good guest. So thanks again for calling in.
Thank you.
And so now we can do some more stuff with the rest of the show.
Woo.
We have no commercial break, but we're going to do this. As we always tend to do a little separation between content of the show. So I did want to mention the GCCCE, which is the Grasshopper Comics Children's Charity event. I went there as we had them on the show, Grasshopper Comics in Williston Park in Long Island. Last year they raised, it's for the John Thiesman.
I think it's John Thiesman. Yeah.
John Thiesman Children's Charity. Last year they raised $18,000. This year they raised $22,000. And when I only went there for the tail end, so I went there for the food, and I went there for the raffle. But I know earlier they did have Santa Claus and Vader, and they had artists, and they had Bill Tucci there, as Steve was mentioning, doing signings and sketches, and it was a great event. And seeing it this year, since I had a little more time, because last year I was there like probably like the last 20 minutes of the entire event. But this time I was there for a couple hours, and it was really, 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 let me say this again, really great. So for me, I brought a little toy, and I donated a toy. And I decided that I would throw in $5 for the raffle, because John Riley of Grasshopper Comics was saying that there is tons of stuff to give away for the prizes. And I figured, it's a good cause. I might walk away with something kind of nice.
And it wouldn't hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Me being poor, $5 is a lot, but I still let's help out the less fortunate than I am.
Yes.
So I did.
There's always someone in a worse situation. Yada yada yada.
Right. So I put in the $5, and so for $5, I got fed, which was awesome, because the food, and it's a free event. You don't even have to get a raffle ticket. You don't have to do any of that stuff. But I did.
You just show up.
And I had some Swedish meatballs, some really good Swedish meatballs. They had a giant buffet style food there.
Nice.
I had the Swedish meatballs. I had some soda. It was great. And our friend of the show, Lou, he actually took some of the leftover food, which was still unopened, and he was going to donate to a church. So even that food was donated to people. And like I said, it wasn't even eaten. It was like stuff that was made for the thing. And it was so much food.
It was almost like a zero
waste. They had extra, and so he took it to be donated to a church and some charities as well.
That's awesome.
So they had that. Then they had some dessert and cookies and stuff, which feeds I think they said about 200 people, and so it was for something for everybody.
That's so cool.
But the big event which was the raffle. So on this wall, and it's basically probably a half of the entire store, the wall of stuff they have. They had prints, which is all signed.
Yeah.
They had comics, some graded. Some not graded.
Okay.
All signed.
Oh, wow.
They had figurines. They had so much stuff there. And, like, everything was, as John said, everything was worth more than $5.
Yeah.
So I was like, I saw a couple of things. Like, ooh, this is like the really big items, like this giant Storm figurine, a Baby Yoda figurine that they had.
Yeah.
They gave out a $100 gift certificate to PF Chang's and $50 gift certificate to Cheesecake Factory, 2 tickets to see Billy Joel. Like, there was tons of stuff on there. And so they had this giant bowl, and you pulled out your ticket, and you get to pick one item from the wall and take it down, and then they draw the next name and the next name, and it keeps on going. And as John said, after a while, when the same people were running over and over again, people had like 5-6 items, he was like, all right, who didn't win anything?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I haven't won anything.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, all right, go pick something off the wall. So by this time, like all the really good stuff, the things that I knew were valuable, and I was like, oh, I want to get that, were gone.
Yeah.
But I saw this in the corner of my eye. I'm holding up to the Facebook live camera.
Make it a little closer.
And I just knew it was a Harry Potter thing. I didn't know what it was. I just saw it was a Harry Potter thing. No, don't open it. Don't open it because it's sealed on top.
It's Velcro. Oh,
it's sealed on top.
Then I won't do anything stupid then, because I was almost
oh my
very
God,
stupid.
You almost
I almost destroyed everything that you were about to say for this. I'm
ruined
so sorry.
the value of the item.
I'm sorry. Everything's fine. The seal is intact. I'm looking at it right
show
now.
It on Facebook.
It's fine. I promise. It's good. I promise we're good. Nothing has been broken.
So I took this Harry Potter thing.
This is cool.
It's the Hermione Granger teen version from Star Ace UK.
Oh, wow.
Figurine.
Is this?
And I took it home. And I was like, it's probably worth $25, $30, whatever.
Yeah.
I look it up online, and they're selling it on eBay for $300.
I'm going to give that back to you then. I'm sorry.
And if you go to the actual website, it's on sale for like $200 and change.
Wow. So people are really looking at it. It looks like that there's only 27 of them made, looking at that model number down there.
I think this is the code, the product code.
Oh, the product code. Okay. Because it says out of 27. So it's like very strange on the bottom.
What do you say that?
It's right under the actual name on the front. It's like SA and then a bunch of zeros.
Oh,
26.
Those are the 2 product codes.
Oh, okay.
So it's her in the thing, and then they have the teenage version.
Oh.
That's that.
Never mind.
So is this one?
Never mind.
And then her in the
I guess it may be
outfit,
on the
has.
that's cool.
There's like
Her
a
in the
Christmas,
robes. Her in the
yeah,
robes.
there's like
That
a
makes
Christmas
sense.
version. There's there's tons of stuff. You go on this website, they have like really good,
Okay, that makes sense.
detailed figurines. But I was like, for
That's cool.
$5,
That's cool.
I got a $200-something prize. I got fed. I got to talk comics. I got to see.
And you got to have fun.
And it was, and they had like sometimes they even gave out like this mystery box full of stuff in there, and they had like a 9-point-something CGC item, like tons of stuff worth well more. You know, you can go in there and even throw down, I think it's a Star Ace UK, if you want to look it up. You can throw down, $20, $40, $50, $60. You can throw this down.
Oh, yeah?
And you can still walk away with something of incredible value. And all this stuff was donated, and this is all for charity. So it's like everybody's winning. There's not a loser in this situation.
Yeah.
It's
Everybody goes home with something at least very nice,
Right.
should they choose to.
Exactly, and that was the craziest thing. Like the fact that they managed to do this, and he even got an award. It's Star Ace.
Star Ace, that's what it was. I was about
Star
to look it up.
Ace UK.
Yeah, I was looking up one thing while also going to Star Ace. StarAce.uk. Okay.
So the fact that just
Not yet.
look at that.
I'm just being a damn fool. I just spelled it wrong. Got it.
So the fact that the kids, money's raised for the charity. The kids get the toys. People walk away with valuable items.
Yeah.
You get to meet comic book guys. If you're a fan of any of this stuff, like it's such an amazing thing in a little comic book store.
Oh, wow.
It was an amazing event. And like I said, I didn't expect to come out. Like I said, I figured I'd go down there, do my little good deed for the day, maybe get something to eat, and see and enjoy the festivities. And it is a very festive and enjoyable thing. Even the guy from Comic Book Men,
Ming Chen.
yeah, he was there.
Really?
Yeah, it's like
Oh, that's cool.
it's a huge event for such a little store, and it's an
Yeah.
annual thing. And like I said, it's so crazy how well this was received and how much money they made. They made $22,000 for charity
That's
from
so
a comic book
cool.
store. Like it's mind-boggling, and yet it's such a great cause. And like I said, everybody won. There wasn't an unhappy person at all who left there. So if you wanted just to come in to win something, you were there. You want to go see some comics, you were there. You want to go see Santa Claus versus Darth Vader outside in the street, it had something for everybody. It was
That's
a whole
funny.
day event. And so next year I'm gonna be actually covering the event. I'm gonna be taking pictures and what have you. But I want to be there for the whole day. I just wasn't able to make it for the whole day. But it was just something that I thought was really cool, and it's gonna be on the first Saturday of December of every year. So mark that in your calendars. Go
First
down
Saturday
there,
of December.
throw down a raffle. $5. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And if you have more, $20. You can leave with 2 or 3 items.
That's true.
And it was like I said, there were some of these guys that put in and they won 5 or 6 items.
Wow.
So that's $20, $25,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, 5 or 6 items, $20.
And like I said, this here I had no idea
the value.
the value.
Mm-hmm.
So they had, like I said, and they had some stuff that was really worth tons of money.
I believe it.
And you're getting even if you get a print sign, that's
Yeah.
like $30.
Yeah.
So even still, the lower tier stuff
It's
is still way
much
more
more.
than $5.
Yeah.
And it's for a good cause. So I want to make sure that I want to give a shout out to Grasshopper Comics, John Riley. It was a great event, and I wish them much continued success on that. So we have 5 minutes left to go.
We do.
Usually we do the social media time, but he already mentioned Stoker and crap. I had it written down.
Stoker and Wells.
Stoker and Wells.
Stoker and Wells.
I keep on saying Stoker and Ace because there was a movie called Stoker Ace.
Yeah, okay, I
But it's
got you.
Stoker and Wells.
Yeah, Stoker and Wells.
Order of the Golden Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
You can get it on Amazon.
Check it out.
It's the beginning, middle, and end of the story. It's a good read. And I thought it was interesting about how he wanted to do it in one format and transfer it to another format.
Yeah.
And maybe this will come and be.
All I'm saying is Amazon's looking for more content, so that could probably be a 3-part miniseries.
It,
Just saying.
it could be like the idea of what happened during the comic, well, the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Was kind of cool. I personally thought it was like, all right, I see
That's
where he's
awesome.
going. I thought it was great. So make sure you guys check that out, and also check out Grasshopper Comics, www.grasshoppercomics.com.
Mm-hmm.
for their event, and just go down there and support them throughout the rest of the year, because even if you can't make it for that event, they raised so much money. They got tons of toys. They did so much stuff. So just support them as a business in Long Island. Just go down. If you want your comics, go to them and get the stuff from them. They didn't pay me for any of this.
Nope.
None of that stuff. I just thought it was really cool.
Pure excitement.
And they were really great. And he was a really great guy when he came down to the studio. So yeah, that's it for the show. Do you have a final thought, Zambo?
Yeah, I guess I'll just reiterate what I said before. I do like those whole, like, hey, what if these two guys, met up and it was an alternate timeline and it just got wacky for a minute type of stuff. And so I'm definitely going to check it out. That definitely seems to pique at least my type of interests. So thanks. Seriously, that was really cool.
Yeah,
That's all I got.
So for me, I think I've had my plethora of final thoughts.
Plethora of thoughts.
So that about does it for this week on It Came From the Radio. Join us right here and every week on this radio station. If you miss any part of the show, go to our website, www.itcamefromradio.com. Listen to our archives. We'll be up in a week or so. We have a Facebook page. We can check us out on Facebook Live, which is every Wednesday at 2 p.m. You can check us out on places such as, we have a YouTube page, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. But you can check us out on such places as Overcast Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Play, iTunes, Breaker, or Breaker, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Spotify, Podbean, Player, FM, Soundcast, Acast, Castbox, TuneIn, Stitcher, Podmus, Luminary, Blueberry, Mixcloud, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Pandora, Castro. It's an Alexa skill, and I also found out that you can just ask Siri to play It Came From the Radio, and it will pop up. So if you want to listen to it, you can. So that's about it, and we'll see you next week.
Woo!
You've been listening to It Came From the Radio.
So that worked out actually quite well for our little show. This actually reminds me of when we used to do live at the radio station on WGBV. It was always, you had to be, no matter what happened, you had to be, this is the time this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So you have to work around it.
You made it work. Honestly, I'd say because it was only, 10 minutes?
We were a little,
That's fine.
A little off, but it worked out fine.
You made it work.
And the timing and everything, I was like, ooh, this works out good. And he called exactly right on time.
Just made it right on purpose.
Sometimes, if you have one piece that is a constant, you're able to work around everything else.
Yep. And then it just worked.
So that made it a really great show.
Definitely.
I also want to mention our condolences to Charlie Saladino. His uncle did pass away because last week he wasn't here because he had a sick uncle, but he did pass away.
And much love to the Spinney family as well. Carol Spinney passed away.
Yes. There's tons of other stuff, which is we're going to mention.
You're going to cover in the live show as well.
The live show tonight.
Yeah.
So just want to mention, remind you of the 27th live show, which is tonight at the Samania Mall. There's also the Source Mall, where the Fortune off second level. Go in the back, enter the parking garage. It's the easiest way to get there. We're going to have Eddie Avila from Day One Comic. He's going to give out a Spawn metal print. And I think he might give out a comic. I don't know for sure. But I know we are going to be giving out 2 tickets to the Big AppleCon, which is this weekend.
Nice.
And as a reminder, the next live show, which will be in January 8th of 2020, we'll have Jay Pelicano, Eric Kinhart, and Greg Iosa from the Mid-Island Comic Show. And they will be giving away free tickets to their convention. And I believe we'll also have free tickets to give away to the PowCon, which is also in January.
Nice.
I think that's it. Next week's show will be on the 18th of December.
Yes.
Which will be our last live show because it's the holidays. It's,
right. We have
Christmas
the holidays.
And New Year's is going to be on Wednesday, and we ain't going to be here.
Both days. No, and that's totally fine. So then I guess you'll be back on the 8th of January. In the newest year of 2020.
Which will be our next live show.
Yeah.
So next week's live show will be the last one of the year. So make sure you join us on the 18th of December. And so that's it. See you later, Facebook Live. And it will be on our YouTube page in just a few minutes.
Take care, everybody.